Hi guys, and a great big warm welcome to episode 58 of the Ask Zofie podcast. As I was just sat here, I record these podcasts now on Zoom so that I can put them onto the YouTube. And so there's a slight bit before I kind of get going and a little bit at the end. And I remembered as I was just about to press record that last week, because my video editing skills are, let's just say, pants, I edited it, but then the version I put on YouTube, and I think probably on the podcast only, audio only version, was the one still unedited, basically. So there's a bit of me at the start looking even more like a doofus than usual, and the same at the end. That's my life. Never mind. Okay. In a minute, whenever I say that now, I think of the Lizzo song that's got that "in a minute" bit in it. But in a minute, I am going to share, as is now customary for me, a page from Love Notes from God. But before I get into that, I want to remind you, basically, I'm extra excited today for two reasons. Actually, there's a sneaky third, but I'll go into that in a minute. Two main reasons. Number one, I am talking all things mindset this month, July, on the podcast here and also on Instagram. I forgot what I was going to say then. On what? I adore manifestation. I love mindset. The two are obviously, or not obviously, but they're so closely linked. I have some super cool things I'm going to share with you today, so I am pumped. Okay, that's reason number one. Reason number two is because tomorrow is the start of round 6 of Manifesting Miracles. So it's Manifesting Miracles Virtual 6.0. It's the 6th time I have shared this beloved content. I can't wait. I can't wait. I absolutely am fired up about sharing the stuff that I share in Manifesting Miracles. I'm, as you can tell, on fire, so passionate, obsessed about teaching you on the topic of manifestation. I say this all the time. You know this better than me, probably. I love to be helpful. I'm here to be helpful. It's my thing in life. And this is the best way, or one of the best ways that I know to be helpful. So this is my final plug for Manifesting Miracles this time round, starting tomorrow, 7 p.m. UK time. It is only £100 to join for the 4 weeks. Hand on heart, I could charge a lot more money for what I do. And most coaches do who haven't been in the industry anywhere near as long as me. There's one main reason that I do not do this. One key reason is because I want to keep it accessible. I know not everyone can afford £100. It's never going to be accessible to everyone. And that's one of the reasons why I give so much away. I also know that when you give something, it doesn't have the same value. So I've learned to be more mindful of this. But the point is, I keep it at this price to make it as accessible as I can, but also while making sure that there is a value on it. Obviously, I have bills to pay too, but that you value it. So you will get heaps of value from Manifesting Miracles in these 4 weeks. I always do go above and beyond because it is my life's passion to help you. I'm so here for you, whether you're my member, whether you're a podcast listener, just anyone in my community or someone who does Manifesting Miracles. Naturally, I can show up in a more potent way for you inside this energetic container. I am super into energy. I totally am a proponent of energy is everything. I can already feel the energy of this group. It is powerful. It is transformative. If you are thinking about it, please just frickin' join. There's also a payment plan. Message me if you need the details of that. You can pay in 3 monthly installments, again, to make it even more accessible and affordable to you guys. And I'm doing, I think it's Tuesday, August 2nd at, I can't remember what time I said now, either 7:30 or 8, I think it's 8 o'clock. I'm going to do a masterclass on money mindset, on how to manifest more money into your life. I'm uber focused on this at the moment. I've had some amazing shifts and realizations that I'm super eager to share, again, because they're so helpful. So many of us, of course, have blocks around money, around romantic relationships, and around our bodies, other things, but these are some of the key ones. I do not want you to suffer. I don't want any fellow human of mine to suffer. And I feel like I've climbed out of these ditches in my life. And now my purpose is to give you a leg up to also climb out if and when you are ready. I am here for it. So you can go to my Instagram. On the stories, there are links to join. You can DM me. You can drop me a WhatsApp or an email if you want to join. It's not too late, but it almost is. I would love to have you join. Okay, the third reason that I'm excited is because I am going on a date tonight with my beloved Daniel. I was detoxing last week. I love the restart. That's not the word I'm looking for. Kickstart, is that the word? Whatever it is, you know what I'm trying to say. Hopefully you do, because I freaking don't. I love going through that process, but I also love coming out the other end and enjoying food again. And so I'm really excited to be eating something delicious, to be going out, to be spending time with Daniel. So, oh, what an exciting time for me. Oh, okay, I nearly forgot. Before I get into it, I'm going to share for us a quote or a piece from Love Notes. Let me see what comes up. Okay, here we go. I love so fully. I'm willing for you to not love me. Come home, come home, come home. I love so fully. I'm willing for you to not love me. Come home, come home, come home. And of course, this speaks to the essence of the divine, the love that is omnipresent, that's ever present, that surrounds you, that indwells you, that you're born of, just how fully it loves you at all times. That's my key intent with that book, with Love Notes, is that you feel that love, because that is all freaking powerful. When you're fired up with that, when you're tuned in, tapped in, aligned with that, you become invincible, you become undeniable. You are aware of the fact that you are born of and you are meant for greatness. This is all powerful, my friend, my love. Okay, so mindset stuff. I'm going to share a few of my favorite mindset sort of tools and tips and ideas with you today and for the rest of July and ultimately the rest of my life. Okay, the first thing I want to share is something that's come to me more clearly with greater clarity recently, is that so much of mindset stuff from my perspective is really about making paradigm shifts, about flipping the script, about reframing. This is powerful. I've shared many times the fact that I adore a clip on YouTube from a dude called Jocko, who espouses this idea of as soon as anything unwanted happens, you immediately go in and say, good. This is a freaking awesome example of a reframe, and it is so powerful. I cannot even begin to tell you. This approach, one of my Manifesting Miracles students said, because I'd got her to listen to it, she said it's layered. It is so layered. It is so deep. It has such depth and breadth to it, because when you straight away go in with this good response, on the one hand, you're stopping this potential and most likely deluge of negativity that's going to come in and crap all over your experience. And also it cuts you off from the wisdom that you need in that very moment to enable you to navigate your way, to navigate yourself out of that experience. I'm just doing the thing where I'm checking I'm recording. I thought to myself before today, actually, I should, or what I'm going to do rather versus a should, is set up a recurring meeting that's set automatically to record, and then I don't have to have this concern. Anyway, extra note to self. So the power of flipping the script, of reframing. I did a workshop recently on mindset for menopause. By the way, if you didn't join and you want me to send you the recording, I will do that. I also did a free workshop in a local school for parents, and I started with the same theme, which is exactly what I'm speaking to here, about reframing, about totally having this paradigm shift. And what I said in terms of menopause is I want you to lean into embracing this time and seeing this time, instead of something sucky, as a freaking opportunity. And then I said exactly the same to parents. I said, instead of thinking, having this mindset, when my child is happy, I'll be happy. No, see that when you're happy, your child then follows suit. And what's also come to mind as I'm speaking, which I meant to talk about, but I've forgotten, so luckily it's come back to me, is at the moment, I don't watch the news. You guys probably know this, maybe you don't, but I haven't watched the news for probably 15 years or so. I don't know, a long time. But I am aware that the term that's been bandied around at the moment is cost of living crisis. Okay, naturally, when we hear this, it's going to create this tension in us. I would invite you to not use that word crisis. Language is so important. I speak about this all the time, but see this time as an opportunity. One of my favorite things to do that I feel like I want to share now is when the proverbial hits the fan, journal on the question, how could this be the best thing to have happened to me? I mentioned this on Instagram. On Friday, I found out something that I'm not going to share just because it impacts other people, but from my perspective, it's not quote unquote good news. But straight away, I was like, okay, I'm going in with good. I'm practicing what I preach. What good stuff could come from this? What good stuff can I allow from this? That I'm making sure I'm not disallowing with my negative attitude. The mind doesn't like this, but remember, the mind is not your friend in terms of living this life where you're flourishing and thriving. Your mind wants to keep you the same and stagnant and what it perceives as safe, which is definitely not about any kind of growth or positive development or self-development. So be mindful of this, flipping things entirely on their head, these paradigm shifts, these reframes. Keep this idea in your back pocket. It will serve you so well. Really and truly, mindset is everything. Get the mindset right and the rest is easy. It's so steeped in truth, my friend. Okay, the other thing I want to say, the second thing rather, is if you give your negative thoughts an inch, they will take them up. I'm going to say that again. You give your negative thoughts an inch, they will take them up. I am not against the whole feel it to heal it thing. In fact, it's definitely beneficial and part of the journey. The challenge with this kind of approach is that we tend to get stuck in the feel it to heal it, 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 and then we don't get on with it. Because of how our brains are, we have this negativity bias. Our brains are like Velcro to the negative and Teflon to the positive. It takes so many more positives for you to really clock the good stuff versus one negative that sticks out like a sore thumb. And so most of us tend to go way overboard with the negative stuff and the worries and so on and so forth. So I would rather you go quote unquote too hard on putting your foot down with negativity versus too hard on the healing stuff. Ideally, you don't want to go too hard on either, but if it's an option, if it's a choice, I'm going with the former. Okay, so my approach, you probably know, is uber compassionate and kind and caring. At the same time, no freaking BS, because I care, because I want to help, because it's effective, because it works. Okay, you need to be the same with yourself in your own mind. One of my favorite practices is what I call turn that frown upside down. Again, as soon as something negative comes in, you go, no, I'm not going to let myself sink down into victim mode, because once you're there, it's a sticky and sucky place to be, and it's not easy to lift yourself from it. You can do it, but way easier to not fall foul of this in the first place. So I want you to learn to be mentally strong, to have that strength in your mind, to reframe things straight away, to be quick in terms of this, and strong and firm, and not give that fear vernacular, that fear narrative, your ego, the mind, an inch, because remember, it's going to take a mile every single time. The other thing I want to speak to that I talked about a little bit with my lovely friend and a fellow coach, Emma, this morning on an Instagram live, was having a great comeback rate. And I mentioned a quote there from Tony Robbins. I'm mentioning it again. So it's, in fact, it's not a quote, it's just sort of kind of what he said. When he gets asked about, do you not have bad days, Tony? Do you never get down? He said, sure I do. I just don't stay there. And so many people make it their lifelong hobby to stay there, to stay stuck, to stay in victim mode. And trust me, as we get older, it's more and more of a challenge to bounce back from this. So you need more of those tools in your toolkit. You need to be decided you're not going down that path. The calling as you get older in life will become stronger from your soul to go with the flow of it. And if you do, amazing, you will open the floodgates to all the things you've been asking for your entire existence in this life. If you don't, you need more and more stuff to attempt to fill that unfillable void. So you are going to find it more and more of a challenge to live joyfully if you don't go with the calling of your soul as you grow older. So this comeback rate is key. It's part of the course to have crappy days. It's part of the course for things to quote unquote go wrong. It's part of the course to have ebbs and flows in your energy and your mood, and for there to be curveballs. This doesn't mean we go into, oh, why me? Why is this happening? We all get sick. We all have financial challenges, maybe, or you know, maybe not these precise things, but we have stuff that happens. It is what I call, you probably know, the divine compost of life. It has a purpose. It's part of the course. We don't need to freak out about it. We can give ourselves moments. We can give ourselves the good grace of letting ourselves go to our metaphorical corner for a moment, but not staying there. So have a good comeback rate. Learn from people like me, and podcasts like this, things on social media, newsletters, books, and so on and so forth, what you can do to bring yourself back. I mentioned one of them before, which is the journaling process of when something sucky happens, writing on, journaling on, how could this be the best thing to have happen to me, or the good approach as well. Okay. The last thing I want to speak to you today, I'm speeding through these quite quickly. Probably my excitement is causing me to do that. So some of you guys will know I've worked heaps with children through my career. I think the main reason is because I'm so immature and therefore on their level. Anyway, let's move swiftly on from that. Something that I love to teach kids, and actually this is in my the journal I made for children called My Little Book of Happy. Another plug. BTW, it's available on Amazon for purchase right now. So this is shared in that book. I share it with kids and adults alike. So it's this simple equation, which is E plus R equals O. Okay, E stands for event, the stuff, what happens, the sucky things that occur. R stands for response, O equals outcome. So it's the event plus your response that determines the outcome. It's not just, we're in this cost of living crisis, now I'm skint. It's not just, I got dumped and now I'm depressed. So I want to share, I'm just checking it because it's on my phone. I want to share a quote from Viktor Frankl here that speaks to this, and it's so powerful and I love it. He says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So for those of you that don't know, Viktor Frankl was in Auschwitz, and he went on to become an incredibly successful psychiatrist who helped many, many people through his career. I'm not sure if he's still alive or not, actually. If he is, he's very elderly, but that's by the by. I don't know why I'm saying that. Okay, so I'm going to say it again. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space, our power to choose our response. In that space is our power to choose our response, rather. I'm slightly blinding myself because I've been writing this weekend, my book, Living in Faith. And last night my eyes were just like, oh my goodness. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So someone in victim mode will say, sorry, I'm late. It was the traffic. The traffic was bad. Whoever says, sorry, I'm late, I didn't leave on time. Sorry, I'm late, I didn't allow time for the traffic. Because most of the time when we say, sorry, I'm late, it was the traffic, we're referring to the same traffic that's there at that time every freaking day. But it's a handy excuse. So much more empowered to say, not necessarily in that situation, but generally, I'm using this obviously as a metaphor, that didn't work out, and this was my part that I played in it. Because when you take ownership for who you're being, how you're showing up, your response, then you are actually in your power. When you are blaming it on external sources and circumstances, you are stepping out of your power. You might kind of get it like by doing this, you might avoid, that's the word I was looking for when I went, you might avoid a sense of feeling like you're culpable or to blame or wrong. But what you're giving up in doing this is being in your power, standing in your power, your greatness, and that is so not worth it. Being in that place of empowerment is golden. It's everything. So some of you will know my favorite question that relates to this is, who do I want to be in this situation? Okay, we've had COVID. We've got the situation with Putin. We've got what's being deemed, or what's being called the cost of living crisis. That's just one way of framing it, of referring to it. I'm certainly not going to call it that, but okay, sure, this stuff happens. There's always going to be something in the news. I've talked about this before, whether it's Brexit or the Gulf War or COVID or whatever it might be, situations in the States. Okay, that's a given. It's the stuff of life. Who do I want to be in this situation? How am I showing up? How am I responding? I cannot begin to tell you the difference that this will make in your life if you adopt this perspective on things. Not what's happening to you. It's how you are contending with that. It's how you're responding. It's how you are showing up. Who are you being in this situation? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be loving? Do you want to be forgiving? Do you want to be strong? Do you want to be powerful? Do you want to be aligned? You get to choose this. Nobody can take this from you. Nobody can decide how you respond for you. This is what Viktor Frankl talked about in respect of being in Auschwitz, and said that in that situation, it brought out the greatest aspect of some people and what some people might deem evil or the worst in others. They were in the same situation. Even in those most challenging of situations, you have a choice. And that can never be taken from you. And that is all powerful. As I said earlier, I've worked loads with kids and I teach them this because I want them to step in their power and know that just because they're small and they have teachers and parents and adults to contend with, none of those people can tell them what to think. None of those people can tell them how to respond. And then going through life knowing that is enormously transformative and powerful and a lifelong skill, one of those things to have in that toolbox that I mentioned earlier. Okay, I really hope this helps. If you have any questions, anything you want me to cover this month or at any time on the podcast, let me know. If you're thinking about manifesting miracles, don't forget, be in touch. We start tomorrow. I will do it again. I honestly don't know when it's going to be because I've got other projects I'm working on, like writing this book that I can't wait to get out, and so on and so forth. But if you're thinking about it, stop thinking about it. The mind's always going to say, essentially, it's not the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. And I'm almost at the point where I pretty much say, these are just BS excuses we come up with. I know the mind goes, no, but really, but I'm not sure I think that's almost never valid. Of course, it sometimes is, and this is what catches us out. But I think it's pretty much definitely way more commonly not true than true. Pretty much probably to the extent, if not just to the extent of almost never being true. Okay. I feel like I want to share, actually, I wasn't sure, but I'm going to share that in Unleash the Power Within. I went to the Tony Robbins event a few years back now, and he asked for questions, and one of the women said something like, I'm a single mum, I'm really busy, I don't have time for whatever it was, maybe this stuff, whatever. And he just said to her, he either said, you're a liar or you're lying. And I was like, when he said it, because it was direct, it was harsh, you could even call it rude. And I was like, oh my God. And I'd been totally going along with her because I'm thinking, yeah, I'm in that boat, I feel you, I get you. And I wouldn't say it in the way that he said it, because he has a slightly different style to me, but he had a point. And it's speaking to this what I talked about earlier, being firm with your mind. And I think ultimately there's a lot to be taken from this, not allowing ourselves to make excuses, remembering the compassion, remembering the love and the kindness, starting with this as a foundation always, but no BSing. Don't let yourself be BS'd by your own mind. It will not serve you well, my love. Okay, thank you so much for watching or listening. I nearly said washing again, but I managed to stop myself. I'll be back next week and sharing on more things mindset. Have an awesome rest of your day. As ever, thank you so much for being part of this journey, for being here to listen. And by the way, massive favor to ask of you, would really help me out. If you like this podcast or this YouTube video, however you're like enjoying this content, hopefully you're enjoying it, please, would you share it? Share the link with a friend or on your social media. It would help me massively and mean so much to me. And I humbly ask for your help here. Okay, thanks guys. I will be back next week. Have an amazing rest of your day. Lots of love.